This is Chief Mike Mondor, and welcome to the first edition of Training Minutes. Training Minutes will be a series of videos that will be cached in our library and Target Solutions that will be available to employees at any time to ensure that you can successfully do your job. Whether you're a new employee or a seasoned veteran, these videos will always be available to you to hone your skills as a firefighter, EMT, or paramedic.
Good afternoon. This is Battalion Chief Conway. Welcome to the Training Minutes. In this segment, we're going to talk about the deployment of the Minuteman hose load. There's going to be three components. First, the deployment of the hose load and how to properly execute that. Second, when we're reloading it for a top connection. And third segment will be reloading with a bottom connection. For our first segment, we're going to discuss the deployment of the hose load. But before we get to that, I just want to point out a couple features here that's going to help you designate which side or which stack has a nozzle, regardless of whether you're on the nozzle side or the off nozzle side. These are 200-foot pre-connects, and as you can see, this loop covers each of the flakes of the first 100 feet of the Minuteman hose load. We've done this so you can see from a distance and know exactly where the nozzle is. This is a 20-inch segment of hose that's looped on top of our 200-foot pre-connect. As you will see here, this is a 6-inch loop that is going to be used to deploy the second 100 feet of the Minuteman hose load. Looking at the second segment, I can tell that this stack right here has the nozzle on the side because of the 24-inch large loop. And this 6-inch loop is the off nozzle side. So if we were to pull or deploy both lines from this side of the engine, we would take and control this first stack and put it on our shoulder and deploy it. Just like if we want to pull this side, this has the nozzle on it, we would pull this section next and put that on our shoulder to control it and deploy it that way. Now we're going to have firefighter Ken Nielsen deploy the Minuteman hose load. As we demonstrate this, we're going to walk through this before we deploy it at regular speed. So firefighter Nielsen's going to approach the hose. He's going to look to control that first 100 feet. As he keeps that bundle intact, he's going to turn into it and put it on his left shoulder. Knowing that he's going to turn back into the truck to grab the 6-inch loop with his left hand, or with his right hand, he will be able to deploy the second 100 feet of the hose load. As you walk, firefighter Nielsen's controlling the first 100 feet and pulling out the second 100 feet of the hose load. For demonstration purposes, if you turn into the hose and you drop your shoulder too much, you can see where the hose will get on the other side of your tank. So when you go to lay this on the ground, it will get caught. This would be the proper way to carry the hose on your left-hand shoulder and the easiest for deployment purposes. As you approach the structure, you notice you want to control the hose line as it rolls off your shoulder, having it lay out on the ground. If the hose looks like it's a big mess on the ground, it's okay. You don't need to start flaking through the loops. You're just going to grab that coupling, which is breaking that 100-foot section in half, and you're going to walk away from the building, essentially flaking out the hose for a rapid deployment. As you can see, there's very few bends in the hose, and he is ready for entry into the structure. From this point, when you're approaching the structure and you're ready to lay the hose down, be careful to control the entire hose. You notice that Ken's hand is controlling the bottom 4 or 5 flakes. That's okay, because as he lays it down onto the ground, he's going to maintain the integrity of that load. Now that it's on the ground, the only thing he needs to do is find the coupling, which is essentially breaking that 100 feet in half, and he's walking back to straighten out the line. And just that fast, you've deployed the Minuteman hose load. This time what we're just going to show you is if you didn't control the bundle as you laid it on the ground, how easy it is to deploy it by utilizing that coupling drag. Without controlling the bundle and you just throw it on the ground and it's a mess, you just want to find that 50-foot piece, pull it straight back, and by doing so, you're still essentially flaking out that last 100 feet. As you continue back down the line, you can make any necessary corrections, straighten out any tangles, and approach the door. As you can see, we've set up our 4 sections of 50-foot, 1 3/4 in preparation to load it into the truck. So we've got our 2 male ends, 1 female end, 1 female end. We've walked the hose out and it's ready to be loaded onto the engine. With that, we've got 1 firefighter on the outside to control this side, and we've got 2 firefighters inside as they will manage the hose being laid for that bottom connection. So starting with the female connection, we've made it, it's already to the truck, and we're gonna start by loading this first 50-foot section. Now on our first section, we want to make sure that you bring it right to the edge of the rollers. Keep in mind, we're not loading the nozzle side first. It can be done either way. You can load the nozzle side first or not, however you want. But once we get to this point, we've loaded this first 50-foot section in the bed.
Coupling.
We will stop. So each time you add a flake, we want to make sure that our ends are even. Notice we have not added our ear yet. We won't add that 6-inch ear until we make our first connection.
Coupling.
Now that we've made our first connection, on the opposite side, we're going to add our first 6-inch loop. So it's approximately 6 to 8 inches. It's just large enough for you to get a gloved hand in. As that was made on that side, we followed through and made our second 6-inch loop on this side. As we continue to finalize this 100-foot section of hose, we will stop when we get to the coupling and make our connection. Now we're going to load the last 100-foot section and the nozzle side. Leaving approximately 24-inch loop, that is going to give us our flap to go over the flies of the hose. Likewise, this first course on the other side, we have a large 12-inch loop to signify that this side that we're loading has a nozzle on it. As we make our final connection and load the last 50 feet, we're just ensuring that we have each of our segments lined up and in order. And we will make the final connection between the 2 bundles in the middle of the hose bed. Once that is loaded, we can then lift the nozzle back up and tuck that inside. Remember, when you're adding your loops, On our 100-foot section that does not have the nozzle connected to it, it's 6 inches, and that is applied to our last 50-foot section. On the section that has the nozzle connected to it, this part is 24 inches approximately, and on the other side is 12 inches, and that is the first course in the segment. I want to thank you for your dedication to training, and stay safe.